So Kevin Nealon is coming in next week or the week after?
The end of February.
End of February. He's going to be coming in. He's been in quite a few times.
Has not been in about 10 years.
Right.
Maybe a little bit more, but had been on several times in a yearly fashion. Like every year he would come on.
And I know you remember because you've talked about it before where he had some heart problems.
He had an AFib heart where his heartbeat was off. I like Kevin Nealon. I saw that he was coming to town, and I was excited because he hadn't been on the show in a long time. And Kevin and I had sons born around the same time. And when he'd come on, we'd talk about the progress of the kids and being a father. And I enjoyed speaking with him. But this clip, I got to tell you, it kind of bugs me a little bit. Not so much Kevin, but stupid David Spade. But we'll play it and then we'll talk about
it. Kevin Nealon remembers being on the show as well.
Sure
Here
does.
is Kevin Nealon. He was on the podcast Fly on the Wall with Dana Carvey and David Spade. Take a listen to this.
No, I remember one time I was in Tampa, and they had one of these DJs or radio personalities. That are just morning zoo kind of guy, high energy.
I mean, pause that right there a second. But morning zoo kind of guys. I mean, you've got to be. First of all, we weren't even on in the morning. And let me tell you something. I am not high energy in any capacity. I've been called boring a lot. All right, go ahead.
And I go in there, and I was going through an AFib episode at the time, and my heart was irregular. And if it goes too long, you got to have it shocked back, And I don't have that anymore, but at the time I did. And he goes, "How do you get rid of it?" I said, "Well, you got to be kind of shocked back, with the paddles." And he goes, "Oh, that's crazy." And then like a minute later, he's got an air gun under his desk. He sounds off the air gun. I almost fell off my chair. And he goes, "Did that work? Did that work? Did that work?"
Oh, he's trying to actually get you back to life and
shock you.
And a medical procedure that could have killed you.
It could have killed me, but on the way back to the hotel, I actually did go back to regular sinus, as they say.
Shock jock cures comedian.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. What bugs me about this is that he said some morning zoo high energy guy. That couldn't be further from what we are. But anyway, just take that. Say that was gay. Kevin Nealon had been on the show so many times that he remembers he was in Tampa. He remember he got horn blasted. It wasn't an air gun. It was an actual horn blaster that was underneath the desk that horn blasters built into it. And we use that a lot. And it was clearly memorable because he still remembers it 11 years later. The other thing Kevin left out is that he had been on the show so many times. At one time, we actually had a banjo there for him when he came in to play the banjo.
Right.
There was a time that he told us about our pension plan because he was involved in that meeting. Yeah. Like he'd been on the show so many times.
There was a time where stripper midgets ran between his legs.
Oh yeah, when Chris Jericho was here. You're right. I forgot about that. So it makes me laugh. But that's not even. I don't even care about the morning. It's that David Spade goes, personality. Oh really? Really? It's so funny to me. All of these people who crap on morning radio guys, but yet we're the first people they come to when they need to sell tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Like is Whitney Cummings on Friday?
Yes, I think so.
So I have never had Whitney Cummings on this show by design. She is somebody who I find very funny. She's somebody who I find very attractive. I believe that she is a comedy force, and she is hugely popular. You may wonder why she's never been on the show. We've been offered to have her on the show before, and I have said no. And in fact, the guy, what's his name? Alan, the guy who books a lot of the comedians on the show, he said, "Really, you're going to pass on Whitney Cummings?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "I really thought you guys would dig this one." She was like at the height of her fame. And I said, years ago, Whitney Cummings was on Howard Stern's show and said that she loves doing his show and hates doing morning radio. She hates going into local radio and doing it and just crapped on local radio. And I said, okay, cool. Then she never has to come on the show again. If she hates it that much, then why should she do it? And then as time goes on, I realized she's right. Most morning radio is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's terrible to comedians and it's terrible to female comedians. And I got it. And then I was telling Tom Segura this last time we had her on the air, and he was like, "Yeah, she's great. You'd love her. You guys would get along great." So Friday, Whitney Cummings will be on the show for the first time, and I will apologize to her.
Oh, you're going to apologize?
I don't think we realize how bad some of the radio is out there.
Yeah,
it's bad.
I don't realize it because we're a lot different from it. I mean, granted, we're radio. We have some similarities, but it's like we talked about with the news people, how you used to say news people look down on us. News people look down on radio like they're above radio.
Yeah.
And the truth is that news, local network news, is probably the least important thing on television right now. I mean, some of the garbage that they have on these TV shows and it's everybody just reading the same script over and over again. You watch the 5 o'clock, the 6 o'clock, the 11 o'clock. It's all the same script, just read by a different head.
That's why Trump's kicking him out of the White House press room.
Yeah.
Legacy Media.
Right.
They
right,
said
right.
the other day, do you see they opened applications for podcasters,
Yep.
content creators, anybody? There's a whole new website now at the White House. If you're any type of media whatsoever, you can now apply for a credential to be in the
Sure.
White House.
I mean,
press
look
room.
at the success that these candidates had
Yeah.
by going on podcasts and going on other shows. I mean, look, even presidential candidates have come on this show during election time. Local radio reaches the market that they're in a level that no one else can reach. You're getting more listening time on a local radio show than you're getting on viewing time of any television show.
I think our show is different because we're all talk.
Right.
The majority of the shows that these comics go on, they're in there for they get
10
up
minutes.
early.
Yeah.
They're on the air for 5 minutes. They get a couple dumb zingers, and
Right.
then they're back to the
Going to
next
bed.
song. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, but my problem with Kevin Nealon is that he had done the show like 5 times. And
Right.
granted, he also is traveling and going to 50 markets every year, and I can't blame him. Like, he's coming next month. I'm looking forward to having him on, and I will shove this right in his face when he's in the studio. So, and that's actually better for me.
yeah.
And now I have a question though, because we're upset that David Spade said personality.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you like that?
Because,
What do you want to be called?
Yeah, a personality. But he said he
Singing.
goes, he was a DJ. Then he goes, well, radio personality. Like Kevin Nealon actually fixed the context. He fixed the name. He said a radio DJ. I'm not playing any songs. I'm not disc jockeying. And he said, well, a radio personality. And then David Spade said it with like he tilted his eyes like, oh, like a personality. Oh, really?
But that's the whole thing with the Whitney thing is you're thinking he's talking specifically to you.
Yeah.
Where David Spade's thinking of all the radio stations he went on, and he's like, oh, they're calling themselves a personality.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. It's a.
Don't try and fight with my sweet David Spade.
Listen, I
Like-
love David Spade, and he would also be welcome on this show. But he's been on the show before.
Yeah.
He was a great guest on the show, and then he says something like that, and it just totally bugs me.
I
But I'm
think-
also a baby.
But probably 9 out of 10 shows they do, it's a horrible experience on their end.
Probably.
So it's like you get lumped in. Yeah, we all get lumped in with everybody else.
Tell us your jokes so we can set them up for you.
Right.
You
It's
know?
I love
it's got to be a horrible experience.
Robert O'Neill, the guy who killed Osama bin Laden. He came in the studio and he did an interview with us that was probably about 45 minutes long. And, I know that he's told that story a million times. He wrote a book about it. He's done it on TV. He's done it on podcasts. He's done it on Rogan. He's done it everywhere. And then when he got off the mic, he was with his people and he was with Chad Chronister. And he said to them, like away from us, but I heard him. He said, I've done a lot. He goes, I've done that a lot. This was one of the best ones I've ever done.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff makes me happy. Now that Rob O'Neill gets on the air and says, yeah, I was doing this DJ show in Tampa, that would bug the hell out of me. It would bug the hell out of me
If
just
it's
because.
specifically you.
Yeah. It just bugs me. Like Kevin Nealon knew he was in Tampa. And he knew he was horn blasted. And he knew he'd be on the show. But he doesn't probably know what my name is. And back then I was probably Cowhead anyway.
Right.
Which is really makes me like a wacky morning
I
radio
think
DJ.
this goes back to my argument that everybody just looks down on us.
Yes.
You're right. You're right.